The orange cat slept on the baby's chest every night for 12 days. They thought it was warm. They were right about the warmth. They were wrong about why the warmth was needed. Mango was a 4-year-old orange tabby who had been in the Reyes household since before baby Sofia arrived. He was not a lap cat. He did not do this kind of close physical contact with anyone. He had specific boundaries: the end of the bed, the arm of the sofa, his own chair in the study, and he held them with the sovereign certainty of a cat who had decided where he belonged. Sofia was 3 months old. She slept in a bassinet beside the bed. On the 17th of January, Mango got into the bassinet and lay on Sofia's chest. Carmen Reyes woke to it and lifted him out immediately. He returned within 20 minutes. She moved him to his chair. He was back in the bassinet before she finished settling back into sleep. She moved him 3 more times that night. Each time he returned, her husband Dario said in the morning, "He'll suffocate her." Carmen said, "He's not covering her face. He's on her chest. There's a specific difference." She was right that the placement was specific. She was wrong about why. She called the pediatrician. She described Mango's behavior. The nurse asked about Sofia's temperature. Carmen said, "Normal." The nurse said, "Breathing?" Carmen said, "Normal." "She sounds fine." The nurse said, "Watch her breathing. If anything changes, come in immediately, and keep the cat out of the bassinet." Carmen kept him out for 2 nights using a net cover. He sat beside the bassinet for both nights, paws on the rim, face inches from the mesh, watching Sofia breathe. On the 3rd night she removed the net, not out of permissiveness, but because watching him watch Sofia through the mesh had shifted something in her understanding. He was not sleeping on Sofia for warmth. He was sleeping on Sofia to feel something. She put her hand on Sofia's chest and counted. 38 breaths per minute, normal. She counted again an hour later. 34, still normal, low end. She called the pediatrician at 7 a.m. Subscribe now before the next sentence. Because what the pulse oximeter showed when they arrived at the clinic, and what the pediatric cardiologist said about the 12 days of a cat sleeping on an infant's chest, confirmed something that had been building in Sofia's cardiovascular system since before the January night Mango first climbed into the bassinet. Sofia's oxygen saturation was 93%. Her resting heart rate was 108, elevated for her age. The echocardiogram, ordered that day, showed a moderate patent ductus arteriosus. A blood vessel that should have closed after birth had remained open, causing oxygenated and deoxygenated blood to mix. The condition had been producing subtle but measurable cardiac sound and vibration since birth. Dr. Fatima Osei, pediatric cardiology, said, "Cats have acute sensitivity to vibration and sound in the low-frequency range where cardiac anomalies resonate. A patent ductus arteriosus produces a characteristic machinery murmur, a turbulent flow sound that is inaudible to human hearing at conversational distance, but detectable through physical contact with the chest wall." She looked at Carmen. Mango was feeling the murmur. Lying on her chest was the only way he had to maintain contact with the sound he was detecting. He stayed because the signal was there. He came back every time you moved him because the signal was still there. Another 2 to 3 weeks of undetected PDA at this size, and we would be discussing intervention options under less ideal conditions. Has your pet ever insisted on sleeping on a specific part of a family member's body, in a way that turned out to have a medical reason? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. Sofia's PDA was treated. Her oxygen saturation normalized. She is 5 months old now and thriving. Mango does not sleep in the bassinet anymore. He returned to the arm of the sofa, to his chair in the study, to the specific positions he had held for 4 years before January. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Carmen thinks about the net cover, about the 2 nights she kept him out, about what the echocardiogram showed, and what 12 days of a cat sleeping on her daughter's chest meant in the context of a cardiac defect that had been vibrating at a frequency Carmen could not hear, and Mango could not ignore. She leaves the bassinet unnetted now, even though Sofia has outgrown it. She doesn't know why exactly. She thinks it has something to do with not putting a barrier between a guardian and what it's guarding. Next, the large white dog who began sleeping across the back porch door every evening, and why the behavior stopped the morning after the family called an exterminator about the crawl space.